for making the choice to click in to chat with Trina. Of course, I'm Miss Trina, and I am here with my long time friend, Mr. Tyrone Evans. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, how are you?
I am good. I'm so happy to see you. And as I told you already, you look so nice. I love the gray and yeah.
Yeah, that came about, it wasn't intended.
It was
No, it's part of a part of a process I was going through. And
okay.
I ended up with a beard that I
Mhm.
didn't like. So I say, well, I got a couple of people that told me, well, take the beard off and just
Uh,
leave the goatee.
Also, you had the whole beard.
I had the whole beard.
Oh, yeah. I like this. I like
Yeah,
this.
so I said, okay, I'll try that. I'm usually, just smooth shave.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is different, and it's growing on me.
Yeah, you are aging gracefully and handsome and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much. And like I told you, you still got that baby face.
Baby face turned into a little chubby baby face.
Uh,
But it's all good.
it's lovely.
It's all good. I still look like my mama, so that's a good
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm. That's for real.
I was trying to remember as I was doing the questions, like when and where did we meet? I know you knew my mom, but I think we met outside of my mama, right?
Yeah, I mean, you asking me a question that I can't recollect myself, but it had to be somewhere during the dance
The
thing.
dance time, our dance
Yeah,
time.
during the dance time way back when. Like,
Maybe
when did you start dancing?
I started 2006. They tell me.
They tell you, huh?
That's what they tell me.
Yeah, well, that was about the time I started, maybe
Mhm,
2005,
mhm,
2006. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Over at the
The blue ocean.
Blue Ocean.
Hmm,
Right at the
hmm.
Blue Ocean with Tim.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
So there we go. That has to
yeah,
be it then. And then after that, I found out you knew my mom.
that's right.
You know, I used to just think about you. Remember, I would call you in the morning sometimes, say, I was just thinking about you. You passed through my mind, and I did that a little bit during COVID, when we were locked down because so many people were going through so much. I said, I need to call people and make sure people are okay. So that was
Yes,
kind of
check
yeah.
in,
But I used to
see how
think about
people
you
are
every
doing.
so often, and you would pop up my mind. I would call and make sure you were good. I haven't done that in a long time. Sorry.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. I mean, it's just that with COVID and even before COVID, everybody's got so much going on in their
Uh-huh.
life. Nobody has one single thing that they're doing.
Nobody.
I mean, it seems like everybody has their cup full and a
Mhm.
lot on their plate and multitasking and just trying to,
Just
pull
make
it
it
all
happen.
together. It seems like that's
Mhm.
the way life is for so many people. If you
Definitely.
don't
And
have a
we've been
lot
busy.
going on, it seems like you're not doing nothing.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
a lot of times, when you're doing things like that, you begin to shove things back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes you shove people back that they have to come back to the surface, like
Have
I
to
did.
come back to the surface.
Yeah, I didn't really go to school that much once I hit the ninth and 10th grade. I was skipping school a lot.
Okay.
And that's when my life started kind of turning in Fifth Ward, and I started going down a different path.
Yeah.
And I chose that path because I was a product of my environment. We had a lot of drug addicts, a lot of alcoholics in
Hmm.
my family, and most of them were men.
Mm.
And it's really ironic when I talk about this because all of those bad men married church ladies.
That's oh,
And
you
so
know that.
all of the women in our family, they were staunch
Yeah.
church women. They
Wow.
were in church most of the time.
Hmm.
And they came home to some bad men that were,
Yeah.
like I say, alcoholics, drunks,
Hmm.
and thugs and criminals.
Hmm.
And so naturally, some of that rubbed off on me and my brothers. And I started doing things at a very, very young age. I had two brothers older than I that
Hmm.
are both deceased,
Okay.
gone to heaven. Rest in peace, brother Lawrence and Roger.
Okay.
And I have twin sisters that are married
Okay.
with children.
Okay.
And so it was five of us.
Okay.
And I was the youngest boy. The girls came later. I'm 8 years older than they are.
Oh.
And so I didn't have a lot to do with them when they came up.
Right.
I had already outgrown that
Mm-hmm.
stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, life got kind of fast for me pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so, and I made it worse, because I participated at a high level in what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're gonna do something, go all the way. So I
Yeah.
went all the way with the drugs. I went
Mm-hmm.
all the way with the crime. I went all the way with the jails and the institutions and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I looked up, I had already done 5 years in prison. I was on my way back to do another stench for a pistol case. Alternate path that I could choose, and that was to go into a drug treatment program, instead of going to jail or going back to prison. That was at the age of 21. I was
Wow.
21 then. So
Okay.
actually, yeah, because I spent 19, the age of 19 and 20 in jail.
Mm.
And then when I went to court, they gave me that offer. So I had already been in jail 2 years.
Why did they
So
give you that offer? I mean, what made them
well,
not just throw you away?
like I said, this was kind of a new thing that was going on, where judges were looking for other opportunities. They were looking for alternatives
Mm-hmm.
to the penal system.
Okay.
And Senacor is the name of the program.
Mm-hmm.
They were uh, known for being pretty good and pretty tough on former drug users, and getting them and setting them straight, or turning their lives around. And
Mm-hmm.
so they said, look, you go to Senacor, which is a 4-year program, or you can go back to prison and do 10 years.
Ooh.
Which one do you want to do? So what do you think I'm gonna say?
I'm just.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I ain't completely stupid.
You ain't completely still. The drugs didn't take it all them brain
It
cells
take
away.
all my brains away. It did me a lot of good.
Okay.
I learned a lot. I sobered up, and I stayed there the entire 4 years.
Okay.
They shipped me off to Colorado because they had a part of their program that they call cross country therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they moved me from Houston to get out of my old environment
Right.
and send me to Colorado. And so I did all of my treatment and my recovery and my reintegration and everything there.
Wow.
And I stayed there. I ended up staying in Colorado 8 years. Recidivism is how many are completing and staying sober, and how
Mm-hmm.
many are not.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if they're tracking people after they
Yeah.
leave the program.
Yeah.
So if they got some good statistics from that kind of tracking,
Yeah.
then they're going to have the numbers right. But what works is what works for you. So and what works for you is what you decide that's going to work.
Gotcha.
Because I had tried 5 other programs before Centacor,
Oh.
and none of them worked for me because I wasn't ready
Yeah.
for them to work. I wasn't through doing what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't tired, as they say, I wasn't sick and tired of being sick and tired yet.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still had some running around to do. I still
Mm-hmm.
had some drugging to do. I still had some more.
Fun to have.
Oh, well, yeah, it was wild. It was
Mm-hmm.
wild. And you think it's fun at the time, but like I said, you really do waste a lot of your life. I mean, chunks of my life I
Yeah.
wasted. I mean, 2 years here, 5 years here,
Yeah.
8 years here. Before you know it, I look up. I was a
Oh.
career addict and a career criminal. 27 years
Yeah.
before I actually finally sobered up. I
Wow.
was in my
So
40s.
they say once you're an addict, you always quote unquote are an addict. Is that the word? An abuser? What's the word they say that if you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic, right?
Well, that's some people's concept, but that's not
Mhm.
mine. I
Okay.
don't. I don't. Uh, yeah, I don't propose. I don't believe
Yeah.
in it that way.
Gotcha.
Um, way back in the day, they used to say once an addict, always an addict.
Mm-hmm.
And And then even recent, I mean, some models like AA, NA, and some of those models believe that, once you're an addict, then you always are supposed to identify yourself as an addict, as a reminder where you come from, so that you won't slip back.
Gotcha.
But there are some other schools of thought, like career, like celebration recovery, and it's more biblically based.
Oh.
Then they say, well, no, you should not identify yourself as the addict that you were, because if you have repented and turned your life over to Christ, then now you're a new creature and all things become new. That means now you're a new man. And so you're you're a believer. So you should identify yourself as a believer who struggle with certain things. I might struggle with drugs. I might have a struggle with sex. I might have a struggle with other kinds of addiction, but that's not who I am. I'm a believer and I'm God-filled. And so I choose that
this
one.
pandemic, mental health, definitely was risen to the top. A lot of people did that. A lot of suicides, people going back into, even matter of fact, my family, I have 3 uncles who were addicts at one time and they all went back with the pandemic. It was hard for some people to adjust. Did you, I mean, have any issues? Or are you totally were okay? Are you sound?
Am I sound? Am I through with dope? And
there you go. So, like during the pandemic, you didn't have any issues or anything?
No, I didn't. I've been through with it for a while now. Like I say, since I was 43.
Okay.
So I sobered up when I turned 43.
Okay.
1993. October the 13th. Okay, that's my sobriety date.
Okay. And some people call it their birth date when I hear them talk about like alcoholism or something like that.
Yeah. But I tell you what, people have all kind of triggers, you know what I'm saying? And even if you know what your trigger is, that might tempt you or cause you to stray or fall back or relapse. And sometimes it's more powerful than you are. And you give into it. And stress is a big one. Money, for some people, they can't handle money. When they get money in their pocket, they off to the races. And believe it or not, I mean, it comes in levels. When you're sobering up, the first thing that you see people doing is trying to develop a pattern and a routine that is positive, a positive way of living, and surrounding themselves with other positive people. And when you start seeing some of that erode and they start going astray, then they're coming out of their routine. They're going back to some of those old ways, some of those old habits. Well, you're right. Addiction and mental health, it goes hand in hand.
Okay.
So I bet you 80% of the people who have a drug habit also have a mental disorder of some kind. I mean, you got to be crazy to use some of the stuff we use. You know what I mean? For real. Stuff that people put in their body that they don't know where it come from. They don't know how potent it might be, but they'll risk it all to get it in their body to get high, and it might kill them on the spot. I mean, what kind of mind would do that than an insane mind?
Especially when they've seen it happen to others and they still do it.
Yeah, you still do it. I mean, that's a real addict.
Do you have children or grandchildren?
I do. I have 7 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, and 3 children.
Okay. How do you like being a papa or a grandpa?
I love it. I love it. I'm loving it more every day.
You wrote a book about your life, and it was really awesome. I read it, can't find it, but and I attended your book signing at the launch at Club Chateau. Do you remember that?
You did.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What I didn't tell you, let me back up, because after I completed Centercore and came back to Houston, I relapsed again.
Okay.
So I had 5 or 6 relapses total
Mm,
before I finally sobered up.
gotcha. That's why you were 43.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So once I sobered up at the Texas house here in Houston,
Mm,
I met a man there by the name of John Merrick. He's the owner of the Merrick Brothers Sheetrock Company.
yeah.
And so he and I just became close because one of the jobs they gave me, everybody had to have some kind of job while you're in treatment. And one of the jobs I had was um, fundraising.
I bet.
I was good at getting on the phone, talking to people, and raising funds, gifts in kind.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so we needed some sheetrock, and I called John Merrick's company, and he brought us some sheetrock. So that's how I met him.
Oh, okay.
And he said, if you ever need anything when you get out of here, let me know. Well, I stayed there a year, and when I got out, I was just on fire. I wanted to do something to give back to the community
Mm-hmm.
because of what had been so freely given to me.
Yeah.
And plus, it was a way that I was going to stay connected to sobriety and to others who are sober, who was living that sober life.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I want to start me a treatment program. And that's when I ran I moved out and I was living in Trinity Garden
Okay.
over there on Bonita Street.
Yeah.
Right around the corner on Autumn Lane is where I was living. I was driving one Sunday and I got stopped on Bonita Street by a bunch of thugs and a bunch of drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped my car with at gunpoint and said, how much you want? I got the biggest one. You better get it from me. If you don't want any drugs, then you better turn this car around and get out of here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got punked. I backed up and got out of there as quick as I could. And it was that was devastating for me because I had had guns put on me before, and I pulled guns on people before during my criminal days. But not to have any weapon, trying to do something good, and all of a sudden I'm looking down the barrel of a gun, and I felt like I needed to go and get me a weapon.
Right. Right.
And God spoke to me in that car I was driving, 1984 Ford Escort. He said, "You can have that place." I mean, it was just like an audible sound, just like that. And I just tried not to pay any attention to it because my mind wasn't registering like that, like
Mm-hmm.
the God speaking to me about anything. And the voice got louder. You can have that place. Call John Merrick. I called John Merrick up, and I said, John, look, in my neighborhood, the children can't come out and play. Old folks are scared to come out and walk down the street, and we have a serious drug problem over here. But there's a set of apartments that I'd love to have, and I can convert that from a drug den to a house of hope. I
Mm-hmm.
said it to him just like that. And he said, well, I'm not the one to make the final decision, but we'll come and look at it.
Okay.
So they came and looked at the place. And when they looked at it, they said, all right, this is what you want to work with. And to the normal person, it looked like a piece of junk. But in my eyes, I could
Yeah.
see the beauty in it and
Yeah.
what it could be. And in my imagination and in my vision of what it could be,
Mm-hmm.
what collateral did I have to put down? I just got out of treatment. I said I don't have any money. I said I don't have any collateral. I don't know anybody that's going to give me any money.
Mm-hmm.
My credit is so bad I can't borrow any money. So you guys are just going to have to help me. Uh, And so they ended up that meeting by saying, we'll pray about it and we'll let you know. And lo and behold, a few days later, I got a call and they said, we decided to loan you the money. We're going to take a chance on you. and they loaned me $50,000
Wow.
to purchase that property. It was 18 little duplexes uh, that were 2 bedrooms, the little bungalows,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy wanted 90,000 for it. They loaned me 50,000, then they loaned me another 50,000 to remodel it,
Okay.
and that's how I started the Bonita House. And I went to halfway houses and started promoting my program and letting people know I had a place for them to come after they get out of a 90-day program. I wanted to run a transitional house
Yeah.
and put 2 people in each house. They'd have their own bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and they would, you know, share the rest of the house.
Gotcha.
That would be their common space. And so I built that from that 18 duplex. I was there for 10 years, from
Mm-hmm.
93 to a little over 10 years to 2005. Back to Ralph and said, look, we've outgrown the place. This whole drug scene has changed a lot. A lot of mental disorders are coming about, and I need to specialize in some of these services. So I need a larger staff. And he said, go find some land. When you find the land, then let me know. I went and found some land over on Parker and Jensen Drive, 5 acres of land.
Mm-hmm.
So Ralph bought that land for me for $186,000. I had developed a really good relationship with these people.
Yeah.
And I had proved to them that I was trustworthy and that I was a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw that in the growth of the business,
Mm-hmm.
and in the return on the dollar. The people were graduating, and people were succeeding in what they and coming through the program.
Wow.
And so we built a $5 million state of the art building complex over there on Parker Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a decision to make because I didn't want it to be co-ed, women and men,
Mm-hmm.
and it was either going to be all men or all women.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to go with women and children.
Okay.
And so when I opened it up in 2005, it was built for 200 women at any given point, and we had a daycare there for 75 children, including infants.
Oh,
And so that was the new Bonita House. I stayed there from 2005 to 2008, and I started running into a lot of problems with my board of directors.
mm-hmm.
And I put that in the book,
I remember
because
that.
it's it's real. It's not unheard of for a founder of an organization to be ousted from its own organization, but it's not common either.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the board gets behind the founder because
Yeah.
they like the vision, they like the mission, and they want to help fulfill it, help the
Mm-hmm.
founder fulfill the mission
Mm-hmm.
and the cause of the organization and help build the community.
Right.
And I had, I guess I had one chairman, and he wasn't my chairman when I first started, but he became the chairman.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I didn't get along. And he wanted to change some of the purpose and mission of my organization, and I didn't want that to happen. And it's hard to fight against your board when you're outnumbered. I took my eye off of recruitment of the board, and I allowed my chairman and vice chairman to do the recruiting. And I did the running of the organization. I was the face of the organization, and I was mostly out in the field promoting it and raising money. And before I knew it, my board was top heavy. They had more votes than I had. And when the fight started to happen, and the disagreements and all of that, they wanted to take it in one direction. I wanted to keep it like it was. I got outvoted, and basically they gave me a choice. They say you could stay here and continue to promote the organization. We're going to demote you. You're not going to be the CEO and president anymore. We're going to bring in a new president to run this agency. But, you know, I mean, we can't ever take away from you that you founded it. You did that. But, or you can, leave.
Wow.
And it was pretty much like
Tyrone,
that. Cut
I
and
was
dry.
saying, how did that feel though, like to you? I mean,
Well, it felt like somebody had just ripped the, you know, that was more than a gut punch. I
mm-hmm,
mean, they had just ripped the baby out of me. That
mm-hmm,
was my baby.
mm-hmm,
And they had just took my baby from me.
mm-hmm.
And I couldn't do nothing about it legally. And so I cried like a baby on about that. That hurt me so bad, deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And so it ended up I made a I made a deal with them. I said, well, I'll just go on and leave, and y'all have to pay me for the time I've spent here, and for the next my pay my salary for the next 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home and licked my wounds. I was
Yeah.
depressed, and
Right.
I didn't even know I was depressed at first.
Mm-hmm.
But I went into a depression, and a lot of people thought I was going to relapse.
Mm.
But that was the last thing on my mind,
Really? Okay.
was to go back to that misery.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling bad enough. I
Mm-hmm.
had to find some way to pull out of this and still make something out of my life, because that was my life.
It was your life? Yeah.
And that's where I was going to retire. That
Mm-hmm.
was my retirement plan,
Mm-hmm.
was Bonita House. And they snatched all of that away from me. And at this point, I was in 2008, I was already 58 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a few more years, people are retiring,
Karen. Mm-hmm.
you know, and I'm losing my retirement.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do? And at that point, I didn't want to do anything. I had lost a lot of my motivation to do things.
Mm-hmm.
I had to pull myself out of it, but it took me a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I had money coming in because they had to pay me for 3 years, but fast as, you know, I had bills to pay. I had to,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
I still life was still going on for me. I wrote the book after I left Centacor. I mean, after I left Bonita
Bonita
House.
House.
Yeah, I wrote the book late, a little bit after that. I went to Ralph and I said, Ralph, this is going to be real hard for me. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to need some time to think about it and to kind of carve my path out.
Mm-hmm. What did he think about you leaving them, you being ousted? I mean, I know.
Well, Ralph was old by then.
Mm.
He had really gotten old. He was in his early 90s.
Oh wow. Okay.
And he had his health had declined, and he was semi dementia.
Gotcha.
And so his brothers had taken over, his sons, I'm sorry, had taken over, and they were making all the decisions. And the board was basically placating to them. And they didn't care that much about me because the truth be told, they thought that Ralph had too much love for me. They didn't want to love me like Ralph loved me.
I get that.
Yeah, they didn't want to treat me as good as Ralph treated me.
Yeah.
Ralph didn't treat me any better than I treated him.
Right.
We just had a good partnership. And we built a great organization. I mean, he funded it and I ran it. I built it. And it's helping hundreds and thousands of people. Even today, it's really going on. Now I'm working with the homeless population. And the homeless population is this smorgasbord of everything.
Yes, definitely.
Most people are one paycheck away from being homeless.
That is true.
1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless, and they're struggling, working 1, 2, or 3 jobs to make ends meet. So if you lose that job,
that's it.
You are homeless, especially if you don't have a parent to move back in with, or a grandmother to move, or relative that you can go and live with. You're going to end up living on the street or in the shelter. Wow. And most people that go to shelters, they don't like living in shelters. They'd rather live in the street. And so they live on the street. And once
I've
they,
heard that
yeah,
part before. Like when they try to get them to move off, they don't want to. They want to be where they're at. They don't want to move anywhere.
yeah, because by that time they don't want the authority of someone telling them what to do, when to do it, how to do it. You know, it's time for this, it's time for that,
Mhm.
time to eat, time to shower,
Mhm.
time to
Time
get
to get it
up,
up,
time to
go
go
to
to
bed.
bed. Yeah.
I can see
They
that.
don't like the authority. I mean, that's one way real easy you can find yourself homeless.
But
And
I think about it because these apartments nowadays are, being that they can't get minimum wage up, I'm hoping eventually do, that these apartments, I mean, even me looking for, when I was looking, it was like ridiculous. Like someone making minimum wage probably can't afford an apartment, a one bedroom apartment, let alone an
that's right.
apartment with their children.
That's right.
It's so sad. It makes me sad on this is just a sidebar. It makes me sad that I look at some of the things that our politicians are so concerned about.
Uh-huh.
And I think about that, like, why are we not worried about helping people get a place to live? People that want to are still at the stage where they want to, but they can't afford it. Like, why aren't we doing that? So sometimes I have that issue. Like, I understand certain things are important to y'all, but some things aren't. Like, I don't know, gun control. Like, yes, we need gun control, but to say, well, I'm gonna make this bill to where everybody can carry around a gun and do what they want to do. Why are we worried about helping people keep their homes and their apartments and a place to lay their heads?
Well, that's why elections, they say elections are, there's a cost,
Mm,
and that's why voting is so essential,
mhm,
because we vote in our electoral officials.
mhm.
And if we are not careful, then and paying attention to every level, from the school board to county
Yeah.
commissioners to the mayor, on all the way up through
Mhm.
state, all the way up to federal government, we have to get out and vote. And and so the Republicans control so much right now. And that's what's happening right now with these voting laws. They had to
Isn't
break
that
a
something?
quorum. They had to break the
Mhm,
quorum so that
mhm.
they wouldn't have a quorum to vote.
Yeah,
And they did a power move,
they did
and
a
they left the
power
whole
move.
state.
Yeah.
They left the whole state, but which is a good move. I mean, but it's symbolic. But still, at some point, they're gonna have to go back, and the Republicans are going to get that bill through.
Yeah.
So what we need right now is the John Lewis Act. We need that John
But
Lewis
that's why
Voting
they're in.
Act.
That's why they're in Washington, right?
Washington.
Because they're
Yeah,
hoping that they
that's
can
one
get.
of the reasons. Yeah, that's why everything is
Mhm,
about these two bills that we
mhm,
need passed for
mhm,
voting rights.
mhm,
That John Lewis bill, which is about HR 4, and also the For the People's Act, which is
mhm.
HR 1. We need both of them. So we
Passed.
got a little bit of drama. We got a couple of people in the way. That's in the demo. That's in our Democratic. Uh, that's one of the Democrats.
Mm,
It's just a razor thin margin that we have. A
yeah.
50-50 vote with Kamala Harris breaking the tie.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's going to work out, I believe.
What advice would you give to me or anyone else that's thinking about doing a nonprofit organization? Yeah.
Yeah, nonprofits are great. And fact, nonprofits are probably the greatest type of entity to have to affect a community,
Mm-hmm.
because uh, for-profit businesses, uh, they give to the community, but they generally do it through the nonprofits. They
Mm.
donate money to nonprofits
In order to get
that
that.
are performing whatever mission that they have, and these for-profits or corporations can give to the nonprofits. So
Gotcha.
we have to have nonprofits, and we need them. Uh, I just would caution people, like, because of what happened to me,
Right.
be very astute about your board of directors
Mm-hmm.
that you bring on. and always make sure that your board is a board that is behind your vision and behind your mission, and that you're always in control of it. So you might bring on your closest people.
Mm-hmm.
I just started another nonprofit.
So you're not anti nonprofit as far
Oh
as
no,
starting one
not at
again.
all. Not at all. I'm for it. I'm for
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yes. But nonprofits do wonderful things for the community.
But
Yeah.
I mean, as far as you doing one, that didn't scare you off from doing your own again.
No, it just taught me a lesson on how to do it better
Gotcha.
because
Okay.
I believe in nonprofits. LJET came after I started dancing.
Okay.
Okay, LJET, uh, oh, thinking back, I had just probably been dancing a year.
Okay.
And, that's when Swing Out had just got in
Yeah.
Houston.
Yeah.
And so Swing Out was not popular in Houston.
Yep.
And the two-step people, the two-step community didn't care too much for it.
Yeah.
And that's putting it mildly. I mean, a new dance coming on their territory,
Yeah.
and the two-steppers were very protective of their territory.
Mm-hmm.
And but there was no stopping Swing Out. Swing Out was gonna come.
Full force.
Full force. Full force, because people were coming from Dallas to teach it to people in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And then once people started learning it in Houston, then they started developing their own classes.
Yeah.
And once they started developing their own classes here, then I mean the show was on.
It was on and popping.
The race was on. And so I think it was JR,
Mm-hmm.
JR Paulette, one of them had the idea of starting LJET,
Okay.
which was going to be a ball, a black and white ball,
Mm-hmm.
an annual
Like
ball,
scholarship ball.
a scholarship ball,
Mhm.
right? And I was asked by Larry Duncan, I believe,
Uh-huh.
would I like to be on the team?
Mm-hmm.
So it was Larry, JR, Eugene, and Tyrone. So you take those first letters of all of our name, and it comes to it's LJET. It's LJET. And LJET took off.
Yeah.
I mean, the first black and white ball we had, I mean, it was tons of people there.
Yeah.
And that was just local. And then we started branching out and getting people from Dallas, from Austin, from Oklahoma, from San Antonio. People were coming from all areas.
Yeah.
And it got pretty big. And so we were enjoying the growth of LJET, and at the same time, we were enjoying the growth of the dance here in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And as the black and white ball and all of the other, I guess, the other dancers
Mm-hmm.
and the people that were starting the dances,
Mm-hmm.
they started unifying, and more like more like it is now. It was a slow takeoff, but they started unifying, and then they started learning each other's dance. So all of a sudden, two-steppers started learning how to swing out. Swing out started learning how to two-step, and the rest is history.
To pin you there, I always tell the story about when I first, Brenda Matthews took me to Desiree. It was Desiree back then.
Oh yeah.
We had that floor that was split. It was like the two-step was on this side of the floor and swing out on that side. It was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And so when Tito took over Desiree and made it the Red Rooster, that was the first thing he did. He took that split out of the floor. So
yeah.
I always thought he doesn't know this. He don't know what he did, but he didn't think about that at the time. But in my mind, when he did that, I was like, oh my God, that is so monumental. That's like a thing. That's like he didn't realize.
It was a lot of drama. It wasn't easy. It's like anything where you have people at odds and conflict, and you know, you just had people that just didn't want it to happen, you
Oh.
know, and they spoke it out loud. That they didn't want to have anything to do with it and wish they'd take that and put it up somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But so it was a it was a little battle.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like anything else, I mean, if it's to be, it's to be. Yeah. And I mean, it's nobody's, I mean, nobody owns the dance floor.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
get
That's
out there and do your thing.
your thing. And it's funny to me because I was in a meeting not too long ago with this organization they're putting together. And someone mentioned, well, I was listening to the conversation, and the conversation sounds just like what we were talking about, how it was a two-step and the swing out and two-step being one. Well, I heard people who are two-step and swing out, they were talking about Chicago stepping and how it's come. Do you know how long they've tried to make Chicago stepping come, and it finally has stuck. Like it's here. Like it's here.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so it reminds me of that. Like there's this battle.
That's the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's always a battle when something new is coming on the
I know
scene.
there's been 4 or 5 people, including David Joyce, including Gino, including, I don't remember the other, there was a lady that came through and tried as well. And it just
Yeah.
never would stick.
It didn't
But
stick.
I interviewed this, his name is Ron Brown, and he is a Chicago stepper. And he mentioned, I asked him that. I said, how hard was it to bring it in? He said and I believe he said it was the Red Rooster or Desiree. He was there and he would come here sometimes and do his stepping. He said a guy came to him like ready to fight. Like,
Yeah.
get away from here. You're not going to do that here. This is not what we do.
Yeah.
And that's why and I was like, what? So you saying that to me tonight is like.
Yeah, it was like that with swing out. I
No.
mean, it was some bad blood.
Yeah.
But people were determined to bring that dance into this town, and we succeeded.
We did.
Yeah, we did. And I think El Jet had a lot to do with that because me and Larry, we would make regular trips to Dallas. Every month we'd be at their first Friday dance. And we'd be learning how to swing out.
Yeah.
And then we'd come back home, and then they would come and visit us. And so it was things like that.
City Dance Association also was real good about spreading that love too.
Who was that?
Houston Bio. Well, was
yeah.
What I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Brenda, not Brenda, Joanne Ford, Mary.
Oh yeah.
Brenda. Yeah.
Well, Brenda came out of that first class over at the
Blue Ocean.
She came out of that first class.
Joanne and Mary.
So I was in the class with Brenda.
Oh yeah.
The same class. We all came out of the same class.
Yeah.
And that was the first swing out class in Houston. And they say it was one right before that, but it didn't stick.
Right.
But that was the one that stuck. The one we were in, and then Brenda went on to start their own classes.
Right, and that's when we turned into Houston Bio.
We turned into Houston Bio. Yeah, that was the big.
I'm back to do because I missed it. I mean, but I had to go back and get some mental things done because when you get so involved, like you said, there's all that, and I let that get me down. Like it got me.
Oh, I know.
It got me. And I had to say, okay, which one is more important? Me, my mental, my family, and all that. Right. And I had to take a step away.
Yeah.
All that out and be like, because what is this? I'm used to people liking me.
Yeah, that's right. And you liking people.
And me liking people. That's why I did it, because I love people and promoting the dance.
And promoting the dance. Yeah, but anytime you get into the business side of it,
Lord,
then there is a certain amount of negativity that comes with that business side.
I was not prepared.
Yeah, there's a lot of politics that comes with that. You know, as long as you just out there just to dance and have a good time, and you're not bothered about trying to get into the business end of it, you're gonna have a good time. But first, if you ever put it in your mind, I'm gonna start me a class, I'm gonna be a promoter, I'm gonna do this.
You better watch out, because they coming.
They coming. Originally, it was Tim.
Okay.
And I can't think of Tim's last name.
Smith.
Huh? Tim
Yeah.
Smith.
I had him on the show.
Did you?
I
Oh
did.
man, that guy is awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Good, great teacher. Great
Great.
teacher. And he loved to dance. I mean, he loved to dance.
Hmm.
And he had
Ashley
Ashley
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
That
She
was a
was
that
so cool. She was really nice.
yeah, she was a
She
great.
balanced him because he had that strong personality. So
He had a strong personality and wore his feelings on his shoulders.
yeah, yeah.
And she was just the opposite. She was just kind of happy-go-lucky.
Mhm,
Fun person to be around.
mhm, mhm.
And that was a good balance.
Yeah, yeah. Those
Yeah.
were the good days. Things have changed so much in our partner dance community. What did you enjoy most about the good old days when we were coming up?
What did I enjoy most about? I think I enjoyed the trips,
Oh yeah.
making those trips, those out of town trips
Hmm,
with
hmm.
the gang.
Yeah, I
Just,
miss that.
you just they were routine in a way because we did them so often and
Uh-huh.
so much, but they were always so much fun,
Yeah, yeah.
because we going out of town, whether we was going to Oklahoma or going to Austin or going to Dallas.
Yeah.
Those were the main three places we would
Right.
go.
I
So
used
that's
to
what
love the Austin trips. It was so close. It was right
yeah,
there.
the Austin trip were good. I used to just love the trips.
And
And
that was a good group of people. Like they were always so
work,
nice and welcoming. And I'll never forget when I gave my first gala.
yeah,
Austin was all up in the house. Like they were there to support.
always, yeah.
Oh gosh, yes. And it was so amazing. Of course, Dallas came, but Austin was in the house. So recently you had a concussion.
That's
Um,
that's true.
and how did you get the concussion?
Okay, I actually I was asleep at home. And I got up at 3 in the morning to pee. And when I got up, before I could make it to the restroom, I went into a blackout, which means black out. I
Yeah.
couldn't see nothing. I was still conscious.
Mhm.
I was feeling my way around in the restroom trying to come out of it. I never did pee
Wow.
because when I went into a blackout, it took my total attention to try and figure out what was going on with me. So my blood pressure had went low and I was dehydrated. I had a couple of drinks that night and went to sleep, woke up to pee, went into a blackout. I finally figured my way out of the restroom, standing in the middle of the floor. I went unconscious and I fell head first straight back to the back of my head. And a friend of mine that was there with me did everything she could to revive me.
Mm-hmm.
She throwed water on me. She slapped me around. She said she just tried to get my eyes to open and for me to say something. Scared her to death.
Mm.
And she said I was unconscious close to 5 minutes. And she had called the paramedics. By the time they got there, she had me sitting up on the edge of the bed, and I was woozy, woozy, woozy. And so they came in and they were trying to decipher, what condition I was in.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me some questions. What was my name? What was my birthday? Who was the president? Stuff like that. And then they packed me up and took me to Memorial Hermann. When I got there, they took a CT scan of my head, a CT scan of my neck. They took a CT scan of my back and my hip area, because those are the areas that generally people break if they fall like I did. And so everything came out negative. No hemorrhaging, no skull fracturing, nothing. So I said, I'll just go home and rest. So this was 3, 5 o'clock in the morning. By the time we got out of there, it was 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, which was Sunday. because it happened on a Saturday night. And I rested Sunday. I rested Monday. I didn't go to work. I went to work Tuesday. I went to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Come Friday, I couldn't stand up.
Mm.
And I was crawling around the house. And when I did stand up, I couldn't stand up no more than 30 seconds because that was too much pressure on my brain that the
Wow.
pain would cause me. I just have to sit back down.
Mm-hmm.
I made my way to my car and I drove to my mom's house. When I got to her house, she called my sister and they took me to St. Luke's. When I got to St. Luke, they admitted me there. And that's when they discovered that I had a traumatic brain injury.
Wow.
And I had developed what they call a cerebral hygroma on my brain. Just
That's the base of your.
Yeah, well, that's just basically extra brain fluid.
Mm.
And it was too much that had developed in my head. It was more than what the level supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That was causing all the pressure in my head and was keeping me from standing up. So I stayed there 5 days and I left there in a wheelchair.
Mm.
And I must have stayed in that wheelchair maybe 30 days. So my physical therapist, by the time I got around to her, she's the one that really got me out of that wheelchair
Wow.
because she started really working with me in the gym at the center and getting me on my feet in short periods of time doing light exercises. And she said, this is going to be your homework. I want you to build yourself up to a 30-minute walk a day.
Mm.
And so I started off just in the driveway, just walking to the street and back into the driveway.
Okay.
Then I'd walk a little further and back, and then walk a little further and back. Before I knew it, I was walking 10 minutes,
Mm.
then 15 minutes. It took me a few weeks to work up to about 30 minutes. When I got up to about a month, I was doing about 45-minute walk a
Oh.
day. My recovery was coming along really good. My head was feeling good. Uh, I still had the ringing in my ears, the blurry eyes, the vision was really bad. Uh, and every now and then I'd get a pretty good migraine. So I went back to the to get another MRI to see if the hygroma had left my brain. And that's where I had a big setback because they did an MRI with contrast, and the contrast uh, set me back. It basically was like having a concussion all over again.
Wow.
And I was allergic to the iodine, the contrast that they put in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And my neurologist, after I talked to him, he said he said, you're lucky that you didn't have to take a steroid or something very explosive like a steroid to try to bring you back uh, from the contrast, because most of the time, if people that are allergic or sensitive to the contrast don't make it back from it, they turn into a vegetable.
Wow.
God was there then. He saved me then. And then he saved me again from the contrast
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stepped in again when what the contrast did to me, it made me plummet. I became so depressed,
Mm.
so full of anxiety that I thought that I was going to go crazy. I
Wow.
mean, I really thought I was going out of my mind.
Mm.
And I told myself, I said, I don't think I can do this. I started feeling experiencing a lot of brain fog. And I started hallucinating. The contrast was still stuck in my head. And it was sending me on such a trip that I just screamed out to the Lord to take this away from me. I can't take it anymore. And from that point on, uh, it go and it come, it go and it'll come. And it got so bad that I wasn't sure if I wanted to live any longer. I have never been in that space before to think about not wanting to live.
Right. That's a horrible place. That
You know, it is. It's a dark, dark, dark place to be in. You know, I know what it's like now.
How many years ago was that?
Huh?
How many years ago did you fall?
It was February 23rd, 2019.
When you and I last talked, we were talking about this, and I remember that you sent out, I think it was a video, and you were doing a fundraiser. How did the fundraiser go? Did you do well with it?
Yeah. Well, I was searching and for assistance. I was reaching out to try to get some kind of help from some professional doctors, neurologists, people that knew something about this brain disease I had, this thing called post-concussion, because once you have passed a certain point in your concussion and you still have it, you go into post-concussion.
Right.
Which means that you're still suffering and experiencing symptoms of the concussion, and they're prolonged. And this place that I found was in Utah. And so I basically Googled it. And they were very expensive. They charge $10,000 a week for intensive treatment for post-concussion patients. And I wanted to stay for 2 weeks. And so I needed $20,000. And that's when I did the GoFundMe page. And I actually raised $19,000.
Wow.
On the GoFundMe page.
Wow.
I had a friend of mine drive me there because I couldn't get on a plane.
The pressure.
Yeah. So we drove up there and he stayed with me. I stayed 10 days.
Okay.
And went through their intensive treatment program, came back with a 90-day at-home program.
Okay.
And that was in September last year.
How are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
with 1 being, you know, not good and 10 being the best. I'm probably sitting at about a 5.
Okay.
And some days I say a 6.
Okay.
So I have a ways to go, but God is pulling me through. Because one thing the Lord showed me is that if I trust in him and I give my life totally to him and put him first in all that I do, in all my ways, acknowledge him, let him direct my path.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I've done, you know, and that's what I do every day, all day.
Yeah.
You know, that's my purpose now, you know, is just to be in God's will.
He has brought you through so much. Like he has been there, like, you know.
Well, go all the way back to my drugging days when I got shot and was getting shot at, and the police had me pinned in the back of a house back of a yard back here, and they wanted to blow my brains out and say the only reason they missed me because they were trying to shoot me in the head and the bullets was flying by me. Wow. I mean, God's been with me through all of this. All my life, I've been chosen in that way that God has protected me. The angels of the Lord have protected me. I asked the neurologist, I say, will this kill me? Will this concussion, will it kill me? He say, no, the concussion won't kill you. Even the effects of a concussion won't really kill you. He say, but you know, that can be some serious damage that can make a decline in other ways in your life if you don't get on top of this. Right. You know, and that's when I just really recommitted myself to the Lord, because I've always been a believer, but I was in and out of church,
Absolutely.
in and out of church, off and on, hot and cold.
Yeah.
You know, one of those kind of Christians, lukewarm. And go to church this Sunday. I may not go again for 3, 4, 5 months. Then I'll show up again. So I was operating like that, but I was going out dancing all the time.
All the time. I think about that too sometimes when I don't go to
Yeah, and doing things. I'll put it like this here: my mental concentration and isn't there enough.
Right.
I have brain fatigue.
Gotcha.
I'm better now. I mean, me talking to you for this length of time after coming home from work, that's a lot.
That's
that
one
is.
more thing. I want to ask you, do you have any last words that you want to say?
This is what I have to say about how I feel.
Okay.
About what God is doing for me.
Okay.
And in my closing, I just want to say that I'm grateful to God for his presence and his promises. And may I live out an attitude of confidence in him and his ability to sustain me throughout my life.
Love that.
Yeah, that's my closing.
I love that. Well, I want to thank you so much for continuing to be a blessing to me, an inspiration to me. You always have been. You've always had that special thing that I've been drawn to. Have you been a part of my life? So I thank you so much for that. I also thank you for being so transparent and open, not just with me, but with everything that you've done through about having the book. That is transparency that we all need, and it helps so many people.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for that. I also lastly want to thank you for agreeing to be on my show. And with saying that is thank you you've always been there for all of my endeavors, to be honest with you. I haven't done much of anything since then, and you were always there. And when I call, you answer, or you call back, and I love that.
Yeah, well, you're right. And we have a kinship. It's our spirits are alike in many ways, and that's good. And I'm going to always be there for you because you do good things.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're brilliant. You're a brilliant person that's on a mission and have a vision to do something good in the world. And I think that's worthy for anybody to get behind. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello again, Mr. Tyrone Evans. Y'all, this is Miss Trina with Chat with Trina. We ended our interview the other day, our chat. I don't want to say interview, our chat the other day with Tyrone, and he missed out on saying some things because it was time to go. We had talked so long. So let's go ahead. Well, if you had any last words that you want to leave, Tyrone, what would those last words have been?
Well, I just want to button up the conversation that we had earlier in the chat when we were talking, and you, I think, asked me, did I go to Phyllis Wheatley?
Yes.
So that's what brought it up, and I was telling you, that no, I didn't. I barely went to school, during that time because I turned the corner and started doing some bad things. But I left out a couple of really important points. One is that right during that time, I was about 15 years old. And like I said, I had 2 brothers older than I, and then 2 twin sisters. They were 8 years younger than me. My dad and mom pulled themselves together, and they were in their young 30s, and they decided to move us out of Fifth Ward. And they moved us to Scenic Woods in 1965. Oh, okay. And this is when this was during the busing, and this was during a lot of social unrest, and people were trying to move their lives upwardly. And we got an opportunity to leave Fifth Ward and move into another neighborhood. Okay. A better environment, a better opportunity. Just trying to embrace a whole new life. And it was kind of culture shock for me because I ended up going to MB Smiley. And it was an all-white school, and a handful of us blacks desegregated Smiley that year of 1965. We were the first blacks there. And yeah, there's some history there, and it's probably still there somewhere in their archives. The first students, black students that attended that school. Like I said, my dad sobered up, got his life together, pulled the family together, and really did make a good life for himself and our family, and a greater opportunity to do better than what we were doing in Fifth Ward, and to propel us to do better in life. And so, like I said, I started going back to school, so that kind of turned my life around, and I became a great football star at Smiley. And I had several scholarship offers to go to Grambling, Rice, where else? A couple other places. And I didn't go though. I turned down those offers. That's one of those things I look back on and I say, you know, if I had taken that opportunity, where would my life be today? But you know, so one of those things you never know. But I wanted to stay home. I wanted to go work in the factory, like all my brothers did, and I wanted to fall in love and get married, you know. And so that's the way that went. So yeah, I wanted to kind of button that down.
History and fun fact with the football, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was a star football player there at Smiley. You know, I didn't get but 2 years to play because the credits were different coming out of this district in Fifth Ward than it was when I got over to Smiley in Northeast Houston. And they actually promoted me to the 11th grade when I had failed the 10th grade in Fifth Ward. So I started off as a junior over there. So I got 2 years to play. And
were you a good student?
Say that again.
Were you a good student once you started going to school?
Oh no, I never was a good student. I never did become a good student. I try to remember even going to class. I know I had to go to class, but I can't remember even going to class. But I did, and I completed 11th and 12th grade and graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, finished that.
You're a smart man, so you know.
Well, thank you for saying that. You know, God has gifted me in a lot of ways and given me opportunities to do things on the earth that I think really have enriched my life and also have extended my passion for people, to help people. And that's kind of where I am above all things, you know, is to minister to others that are less fortunate and that are the least of these.
Right. Well, I thank you for coming back and giving us that. And I don't know if I said it on the last, when we were talking the other day, that, you know, I'm about to embark on a nonprofit. And so I'll definitely be calling to ask you questions, because I've been trying to read up on things on my own on how to get started.
Yeah.
But I think I'll pick your brain instead.
You might as well. I've done 3 nonprofits, and the Bonita House was my most successful project. But I got one now that I'm starting called Networks, and so we're gonna see where it's gonna go.
Okay, well, let me know on that too. But I definitely will be picking your brain, because I need this. It has to be done. I'm supposed to do it over the summer, but again, just reading and on how to start it was not for me. I need someone to talk to. So
yeah, you do.
I actually already have my board and everything. It's just putting the articles and that stuff together.
Oh, good. Yeah, and that's not hard to do. I mean, I can talk you through that.
Okay, awesome. Well, Tyrone, I want to thank you again for talking to me.
Well, thank you for coming back, you know, and allowing me to add that last little chapter.
You oh, happy birthday tomorrow. Yay.
Actually today.
Oh, it's today. You're going to dinner tomorrow, but today is the birthday.
Dinner tomorrow, but yeah.
Happy
But today's my birthday.
Yay.
Yeah, thank you.
Blessings
Thank you
to
so much.
you and happy birthday, and enjoy your family and church tomorrow and your dinner.
Yes, that's what we're going to do. Thank you so much.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you guys for making the choice to click in to chat with Trina. Be sure to subscribe and then click that little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video.